Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Hold on. When I'm like up, when I'm like up, go. Like, go up the light. Go up the light. Yeah. I've been catching them angel numbers. It's 10-10. All right, give it a minute or too late. Okay, it's 10-10 on my phone, 10:09 on my laptop, honey. It's 10-10. Yes, boy. Hey, when I'm like, true, happy Wednesday. It is a fabulous Wednesday. I hope you guys are just as blessed and highly favored and lit as me, baby. The king gets you so blessed, yeah. Yes, baby. I literally don't have no complaints, baby. Things could not be more wonderful in Alice's little wonderland, baby. Oh, before we get into it, you guys know to go ahead and run me those likes. You guys know YouTube been playing on our head tops when it comes to notifications. So I need you guys to like the stream up. It's one of the most important things you can do here on the platform. Is run me a like, thumb up the video. Thumbing up the video not only helps with YouTube's algorithm, but more importantly, it triggers up YouTube's notification system. So when you are thumbing up the video, you are literally knocking on the digital door of another conscious crew member and telling them to get their black into the sanctuary. All right. Also, make sure that you guys have your notification bell set to all. If you love everything that the King does, you can also donate to the platform at $Consciouztv and or paypal.me/ConsciouzTV. That is conscious with the Z on the end. All links and hyperlinks are in the description box below. I also want to shout out to my boo Danielle for the audacity piece of PayPal child support earlier. Shout out to you, baby. I don't get my PayPal notifications immediately to my phone. I can do my cash apps, so I have to look at my emails or check my PayPal manually in order to see that, you guys. Okay, so my PayPal contributors, I'm gonna be shouting y'all out too, but y'all will probably get the shout outs in the lives after the ones y'all initial donate in, since I have to go in and manually check PayPal. But thank you to all of my contributors. And last but not least, please share the stream out to wherever it is you have digital community, whether that be your YouTube community wall, your Snapchat, your MySpace, the dark side of Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't really give a where you lay the link. Just let them know that we're live, and we're certainly in color. And with no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through. Oh,
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, you guys, happy hump day. Let me shout out to my baby mother, Gina, for the old nasty piece of child support chat. Thank you, baby mother, Gina. You guys, once again, know that all donation information is in the description box below. Let me go ahead and sound off to the conscious crew while it's still enough of y'all in here for me to speak to. What's going on, Shauna? Hey, Deborah. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Miss G. What's going on, Tamika? What's going on, Sin? Hey, Alessa. What's going on, Vicky? Hey, Miss G. Hey, Island Girl. What's going on, Lauren? Hey, Kalisica. Is it Kalisica? Did you change your name, boo? I feel like you changed your name. What's going on, Danielle? Hey, baby. What's going on, Jackie? Hey, Deshaun. What's going on, Danny? Hey, Sean. What's going on, Tip TV? What's going on, Marsha? Hey, Akanice. What's going on, Todd? Hey, y'all. Y'all run them likes up. We need all the likes, y'all, for real. Like, we need the likes. What's going on, Michael Day? Hey, boo. Y'all run me the likes. The likes are so important, y'all. YouTube really be tripping and doing the most. So we need all them likes, honey. Don't play. Don't be a weirdo. Okay. So saying, I don't know why I felt like your name was. I don't know. All right. We here. So you guys, I got to come to you guys. And we got to have a little talk, honey. I really should have had this in Patreon, but I'm going to have it here just so that the memo gets sent in every direction it needs to get sent in. You guys know that the Kane been having it popping out here on these streets, girl. You know, it don't matter whether the girls try to go live at the same time and try to act like they ain't watching content that they gonna watch afterwards, girl. Then they gonna build a whole stream around the same content they claim they ain't watching, girl, within the next hour. It don't matter, girl, who do headlines thinking that somebody annihilated somebody in the dialogue, girl. You know why it don't matter, girl? Because we still got ahead and had control of the larger narratives, honey. Okay, because I'm clicking them views, we're clicking and viewing, honey. Y'all see your girl. So shout out to my interview with St. James and Larry Reid, girl, which is now at 13,000 views, and me and Larry's personal 3-hour, almost 4-hour interview, girl, in-depth interview, which is at 10K on my channel. It's 30, 40, 50K on his Facebook, his YouTube, etc., girl. So, you know, I love that, honey, you know, because, you know, anointed things are going to do anointed things. So shout out to all y'all. And if you have not seen either one of those interviews across social media, make sure you check them out, because those interviews have led to a lot of the controversy that is taking place right now with our very own St. James show. So you guys know that I had St. James on, and even though St. James shared the interview that I invited him into on his social media platforms, it was nonetheless my interview. I personally had reached out to St. James. Shout out to my baby mother, Gina. Oh, two Ginas tonight, honey. The Ginas in the building. The Ginas are in the building tonight. Yes. Shout out to my baby mother, Gina. Oh, this is the same Gina. Yes. The prettiest dang content creator. Thank you, baby mother. I do it all for y'all. I keep this body. I keep the skinning, this hairing, honey. I keep these lips lipping, honey. I keep everything strong and beautiful and gorgeous and handsome all at the same damn time for y'all, baby. I do it only for y'all. Yes, God. Thank you, baby mother. Once again, you guys, all donation information is in the description box below. Oh, it's no problem, baby mother, honey. However you got to do it, baby. You get the coin to the king. All right, bless you, baby. So you guys know, I was sitting around and I was like, you know what? I am really stuck up on YouTube. You know, here's how complex I am as a content creator. I'm a very naturally communal person. I like community. I like the idea of community. I like the feel of community. You know, community is so godly. You know, it's so New Testament. You know, it's so Christ-like. But, you know, hoes crazy. So, you know, I've had to go real rogue. Maybe because people are crazy. So, you know, I have really, really, really become very closed off and very antisocial on social media in terms of aligning and dealing with other content creators. What's going on, Dr. Reid? Hey, Dr. Reid, it's over 100K. Oh, hey, I stand corrected, honey. I stand corrected, baby. Okay, baby. Baby, don't the Lord sit high and look low, honey, and was proud of that 100K. And guess what, baby? It take the haters to do that. It take the detractors to do that. It take the supporters to do that. Okay, it take those who just wandering through Facebook and TikTok and YouTube randomly to do that, baby. It takes a village. Oh yes, God. So shout out to the 100K, baby. A lot of y'all really appreciated Dr. Reid's candidness, his ability to be human, his ability to be intro. Okay, yeah. So before we get there, let's get to that interview first. Let me talk a little bit, just a little bit about that interview, girl. You know, because me and Dr. Reid had a follow-up conversation about the interview, and Dr. Reid was really in his feelings, and really felt impressed and touched, and just really had a lot of good vibes about just the flow, the tonality, about the type of questions I asked, about the things that were able to be invoked and provoked out of him. And of course, that is because when there's chemistry and you're dealing with someone who is an intellectual and someone who has depth and someone who has all the things that really make for a great interviewer, you're going to be able to bring out really great things in the interviewee. And with me, obviously knowing Dr. Reid on a personal level, and then with me just being who I am in and of myself, you know, of course, girl, you know, it's always going to be a recipe for heaven when we get together. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something that I was very intentional in doing. I wanted to go into that interview with Dr. Reid and give him the opportunity to be whomever he actually is, okay? I didn't want to put something in Dr. Reid that wasn't there, but I wanted to, I felt like a good interviewer sets things up in a way that brings out the interviewee authentically. And I also think that a good interviewer also strives to pull out the best in an interviewee as well. So those were both of my intents, because I know that, and I personally also align with this and believe this, I really feel like it's really important for leaders and anybody who's in any type of a leadership position, or anybody who's in any type of a authoritative position or position of influence. It's important for our leaders to be capable of being introspective, being empathetic, being able to self-correct, being able to be apologetic. I think that those are all the things that really make for a leader continuing to foster a space that is safe and that can be trusted by the people. I know that these are things that I really like to see in a lot of leaders and powerful people, because I think we're all decent and practical and reasonable enough in our expectations to know that even important people, influential people are still human. They make mistakes, etc. But I think what ends up taken away from that is sometimes our leaders don't behave that way. They don't behave in a way that's humbling. They don't walk in a way that is transparent and walk in ways that really humanize them. So then when it's time, you know, to be human, unfortunately, a lot of our leaders don't do that until it all comes crashing down. But if people in power can just keep that air about them in general, it makes certain moments really believable. And I know how candid and transparent that Larry is. And my favorite parts of the interview was just his ability to actually be like, wow, you asking me the way that you asked me, that resonated. And you know what? I'm looking back. That was gorgeous, baby. That was gorgeous. That is gorgeous. You know, and that's a lot of what the public needs from important people, whether it be TD Jakes, whether it be a Larry Reid, whether it be a Donald Trump, whether it be whomever, you know, Beyonce, Jay-Z, anybody, whoever, you know, is we're just looking for the humanization of it all, and people who are not ashamed of their humanness, people who don't find that to be a weakness, you know, leaders who understand that their humanity is what makes their position powerful and necessary. And I just think you can't go wrong as a leader with being accountable and introspective. So I really enjoyed that. I had to really give Dr. Reid his props when he called me the next day. I had to say, you know, you really did a great job, because a lot of people was expecting you to do the F you, suck my you know, they were looking for Jeremy to come all the way out, honey. And Jeremy wasn't completely suspended, but it was definitely more of the good stuff than it was the ego and the defensiveness. And that did land really well for a lot of people. Okay, Dr. Reid, I certainly forgot that we were on live, and it was like we were on the phone. Said way more than I planned, way more. And did well. I think the conversation hit, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Dr. Reid said, hands down, is one of the best interviews that I've ever done of him. And it's honestly probably the best way yet he has showed up in any interview in general, girl. Okay, baby. It's the reason why I done been chosen and endorsed, okay, by Dr. Reid and the T.S. Madisons, even the Trasher K's for a time being, the Storm and Rose, baby. It's the reason why, baby, the Titans. It's the reason why the Titans, baby. It's a reason, baby, why did they put their cosign on the map? Okay, I am who I think I am. All right. Now, a part of that interview, speaking of that interview, is that interview also addressed the St. James show. Okay, Dr. Reid decided to speak candidly about some of his thoughts about St. James, who used to be a part of his community. Him and St. James, contrary to popular belief, actually used to be really cool at one point. Had access to each other, could talk to each other if need be, etc. And then, you know, there's been some notable distance as far as Dr. Reid is concerned, and Dr. Reid addressed that distance and what became of his perception of St. James. And St. James was, you know, very candid as well about the fact that he doesn't, you know, he doesn't hate or dislike Larry, and that his personal posture is he's neutral ultimately. He's open to always hearing both sides, and he never wants to strive to make anything he's doing feel like he hates anybody per se, even if sometimes that's what his opinion and his thoughts about any particular situation may come off as, that it's not his intention. And him and St. James were able to actually speak, and both of them thank me for that, and the viewers also thank me for being a great mediator. As Dr. Reid says, CTV is really known for doing this Iana shit and being able to pull people together and all of that, child. You know, I'm a healer by nature, of course, baby. It's just my little black boy magic, child. All right. Now, what's interesting about the exchange between me and St. James, and this was before Dr. Reid came up, is that St. James had asked me, he said, CTV, why don't you hit my link? And remember, I gave St. James a two-part answer. I said, well, for one, to protect you, because the last time that you hit my link and actually spoke to me and Dr. Reid, okay, it was the very first time that we all had sat on the platform together. St. James had got punished for doing so. And I was aware of that punishment and what that punishment looked like. And that punishment was eerily similar to the way that even I was punished and Dr. Reid was punished and other people were punished when we said no to certain people. There seemed to have been this trauma that got triggered up, that became obsession. And then people took what they perceived as rejection to heart. And then they tried to commit all type of crimes against us as a result of the perception that they were not being allowed to sit at the table. And they put themselves in very dangerous positions that ended up resulting in them being sued, that ended up resulting in them getting fired from jobs, that ended up resulting in them damn near losing their mind, certainly losing their credibility, losing their health. I mean, they've lost it all as a result, child. Okay, it's just been a mess. So after that had happened, I had decided, you know what, it's not necessary for me to be dropping down in St. James chat and doing all that. It comes with too much baggage. At the end of the day, it's really not that deep because I don't drop down and interact with platforms to begin with. So, you know, it wasn't a hard thing to give up. But when St. James had asked me, he did say, look, CTV, you are welcome to my platform. And I know that there are people there that have done really bad things. And there are people there who are not well. And there are people there who are going to attempt to punish me for aligning with you. But I don't want you to make that your personal burden. Okay? You're welcome to my platform. You've always been fair and nice to me. And I'm going to be fair and nice to you. And if anybody don't like it, then they just don't like it. But I'll deal with them hoes if any of them hoes decide to be hoes who don't like it. I said, okay, great, cool, okay? We also then led into another conversation, which was, you know, there are people there that are delusional, you know, that hang around the St. James church house girl. They hang around the St. James front yard. And I'm not going to put myself in a position to have those, especially in a space that I don't control, right? Because here, I can control my space. I can control who hits my link, who gets my energy, who gets my attention. But because dropping down in St. James chat or coming up on his panel, it would make me too accessible to people who I am never going to speak to, ever, never. I am clear about the fact that some people are literally delusional, mentally absolutely ill, corrupted in the mind, corrupted in their morals and in their values, and are living in an alternate reality in their mind that no amount of facts, no amount of history, no amount of data is going to be able to influence. They're literally trapped in figments of their own imagination. And I would never think that there's anything I can say to a delusional, mentally ill, sick person. So I don't make myself accessible on St. James platform for that second reason. Is I'm not going to allow somebody to hit the link and to try to vacuum me into their delusional ass universe and try to vacuum me into their delusional ass imaginary made up facts and are going to try to vacuum me. You know, I'm not going to let nobody trap me into a conversation, siphon my energy. I am very clear at this point in time in my life, baby, about protecting my motherfucking energy, baby, okay? And I know that it burned the haters up because the haters, baby, they want to get a hold of my energy. They want me to choose them. And they don't care whether I'm choosing them as a friend or as a foe. You know, they just need to cipher the energy because they get to walk away after they're done with me really proud of themselves because they got me to see them. I know that it hurts them more when I don't allow them to be seen, when I don't allow them intimate access. And I like that it tears their asses up like kryptonite, honey. Now I understand why Beyonce be Beyonceing the way she does, girl, because it turns the girls even more out when she stays poised and stoic, and she remains centered, and she doesn't allow herself to be accessed by succubus and incubus, okay? Now, what's funny about that, right, is as I was saying all this to St. James, like, you know, I don't hit your link because, first of all, I don't want to bring that baggage to you. I know that there are people that are going to punish you, people that are going to be, you know, upset at you, blah, 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 blah. There were people in our chat actively saying, punish, 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 and I would be damned, baby, under this retrograde, if not, all things have been revealed, girl. And let me, hold on, can I just put a pause right there? What I have been loving about the way I've been approaching life and the way that I've just been doing me inside of me as it relates to me is I have really gotten out of this headspace of trying to get other people to see what I see. I am now so clear and confident and comfortable that the truth is always going to prevail. And you really have to have confidence, baby. And the ghosts that everybody acting like right now, only you see. In time, girl, they all gonna see Casper or the Caspers, okay? Don't worry about trying to beat that into other people's head. You just be clear about your foresight, okay? Your insight, about your inner, your over and understanding, okay, baby? Baby, you trust in that thing and you hold that truth and that knowledge confidently, baby. And I promise you to God, baby, God is going to victory you, girl. God is going to validate your sight. And it's going to become everybody else's sight, honey. Even Dr. Reid recently saw some things with his own eyes, baby. And I ain't had to do nothing. I ain't had to do a damn thing, baby. Okay? Because I know what I know. I see what I see, as Jesus says. Let those have eyes see, and let those who have ears hear, baby. And when Dr. Reid said, "I see," baby, I was so happy for the doctor, because I thought for a minute, girl, that the doctor really need glasses. Oh yes, baby. Okay, you know, I know his natural eyes need medication. I thought the spiritual cataracts had done set in too, baby. But when the doctor said, "I see," I said, "Oh yes, oh God. Oh God, baby." I knew God was in the motherfucking neighborhood, baby. All right. But God been doing a lot of God in the neighborhood, because I end up listening to St. James show today. And St. James has also, unfortunately, been vacuumed into other people's delusions, because he had the unmitigated audacity to have a cordial sit down with me and Dr. Reid. And there have been some things that have been transpiring on YouTube that I had no idea about, girl. I guess certain things are so out of my damn vibration that literally I would not know them if they just were not plastered and billboarded in my face, okay? But listening to St. James' show earlier, there's been some things that have been going on over the last 24 hours. There have been people who have been dragging him, apparently in private spaces. I was reading the chat, and apparently some of his supporters who support other so-called content creators were, you know, saying that they were windmilling for him last night in private spaces because he was being dragged. He was being dragged by Milk Dud Head Hill, Cryptoid Moore, and he was being berated and ran down on by Levante. Okay? And his commentary, yeah, right. Prophet, look, I am, okay, I'm not the master prophet, but I'm the pending prophet on these streets, okay? As I told you, I'm the ghetto Buddha. All right, this is exactly what I was speaking about to St. James. I said, look, this is what comes with that. Okay, these people try to pretend to be so righteous and they don't care and they're fair and nobody can tell them what to do with their platform, but they absolutely went contrary to all of that when it came to St. James. And they were upset that he did not move and that he did not groove in the way that they thought he should move and he should groove. Okay, St. James did a great job because, you know, I thought St. James had a little bit of pussy energy in him, girl, but he kind of made a believer out of my ass today when I was listening to his live stream, girl, because, you know, Big Daddy had put the pants on in that relationship, girl, and said, look, baby, I don't owe none of you nothing, baby. We're not friends. Y'all done got it up. I'm a commentator. Y'all niggas are commentators. And we cool and everything, but baby, we ain't friends. I don't owe y'all nothing, and I'm not gonna windmill for y'all in situations that I'm a content creator in. I'm not your friend. When I'm sitting down with Dr. Reid or sitting down with CTV, I'm sitting down as a professional. I'm sitting down as a commentator. I'm sitting down as a YouTuber. I'm not sitting down as your motherfucking friend. So don't be expecting me, baby, to be swinging and banging and beating people over the head and beating Larry over the head and projecting all of what you think I should be projecting onto Larry, or projecting all of what you think I should project on the CTV onto CTV, girl. Like, those are y'all personal shit. I ain't got nothing to do with me. I like, yeah, 2 snaps for the kid, bitch. I said, Saint, you better Saint, girl. Look, y'all, I did think, I ain't think Saint James was gonna stand on business. Okay? I was like, girl, Saint James is talking that shit, girl, but baby, trust and believe, when the going gets rough, girl, he gonna acquiesce, he gonna bow down. Oh no, baby. Oh no, baby. Saint James didn't have no problem drawing the lines in the sand. He ain't had no problem saying, look, bitch, me and CTV been cool. Okay, hell, me and Larry been cool. I was a part of his community before any of you niggas was a part of mine. Okay? And yes, I may have my opinion about things. Sometimes my opinion and commentary may differ from what Dr. Reid's personal angle is, or even what CTV's personal angle is, but that don't mean there got to be no disrespect just because I have a difference of opinion. And I think what has happened on St. James' platform is really, it's in alignment with the plight that Larry spoke to him about, which is because St. James' commentary sometimes leans more toward the questionable, shady, slightly negative side when it comes to Larry. I think a lot of the people that are adjacent to St. James' platform who absolutely don't like Larry think that that means that St. James is a Larry Reid op. I think that they think it means that, oh, St. James is one of us. He can't stand that motherfucking lying-ass nigga. He can't stand that fake-ass prophet. He can't stand it. And St. James had the baby straighten that all out today. And said, look, bitch, girl, there's a big difference between me and you, okay? Just because I may be non-biased and in a position, yes, to be able to tug on Dr. Reid's toupee and to disagree with him, don't mean that I hate Dr. Reid. It don't mean that I think Dr. Reid is an evil person. I'm just being a commentator, looking at the facts and looking at the things, and I form my opinion and perception of things. But if you niggas don't interpret that to mean that I feel these egregious ways about Reid that y'all do, I don't. So shout out to St. James for one, standing on big business, going up against 3 fat ass hoes, okay? 2 of those hoes are in their post-Ozempic bodies, and it's looking like it, especially for the Cryptoid in Ohio girl. That bitch done lost all the elasticity in her skin, girl. All the Gorilla Glue just done dried up, girl. Everything is hanging, girl. The fat titties done became sagging titties. The big fupa done became a sagging fupa, bitch. The big neck done became a elongated turkey neck, girl. Gravity, girl, is just having a grandiose time with one of those post-Ozempic hoes, okay? Yes, God. So I was listening to him, and I was also thinking about how hypocritical this is of the other side as well. That all of a sudden St. James sits down with me again sits down with Dr. Reid again, and all of a sudden he done been paid off. He's a op. He's on the payroll. He's switching up. He has an allegiance. He blah, 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 blah. Even though he's well within his right to have all of those things without it being an issue. But what's funny about St. James acting on his capacity to be able to speak to me and speak to Larry is some of the very people that got their foot on his neck were the same people who've been requesting to talk to me and Larry all year long. How many times has Milk Dud Head Hill said, I'm willing to talk to Conscious. Tell Conscious I'll talk to Conscious. I'll come on Conscious platform. Conscious can come on my platform. We can have a civil conversation. Oh, so you can have a civil conversation. You can talk to CTV. You can request all that. You can ask for all of that. But St. James is the bad guy if he gets that. St. James can't sit down with CTV. But did anybody chew up Trey? Levante? For requesting to want to speak to me? Because had I let Caroline come into the light, she would have been convinced and converted as a result of the marvelous light. But why is it that everybody else can request to speak to the other side? Why is it that everybody else can put out a PSA to speak to the other side? Matter of fact, when me and St. James were live, because remember, St. James shared our stream out, so I could see his comment section too. Something that wouldn't be able to be had under normal circumstances. But because he shared the stream out simultaneously, I could see certain people in his chat. Nobody found it weird that the cryptoid in Ohio was asking me, when was I going to tell the truth about Larry and stop making y'all hold y'all breath and all of this and all of that? But isn't this the same person that tried to put out a TPO on me? Nobody thought it was strange that this person who's saying I am harassing them and I have stalked them and I have menaced them was sitting in my space, a space that I curated, a space that I created, minding my business, and here it is, the so-called victim is in my chat, girl, asking me questions as if he and I can even speak at all, because when have I ever spoken to you, girl? You've never been seen by me, and you're not going to be seen now. And why are you in a space with the person who you say has terrorized you and unalived your parents and given you night terrors and killed your dog and did all of these magical things, which some of those magical things I did do, baby, and I'm proud about it. And I'll do it again, bitch, okay? Because, baby, I plan on going to hell with magic. Come the rest of 2025, baby. Oh, yes, honey, I ain't gonna hoot and holler with no on the internet. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm too metaphysically trained, baby, to have to spend my time hooting and hollering with these incels when I can really show them what it's like to be touched by an angel. Oh, yes, absolutely. Dr. Reid says, hey, yes, you know what the narrative always is. Not Larry Reid in his unwind bag, girl. I ain't got it. Dr. Reid, I ain't got it, girl. Y'all see what I'm doing over in Ghana? Y'all see what I'm doing over in Dubai? Y'all see what I got going on, girl? My money too tied up to be having St. James ass on anybody payroll, baby. I ain't got it. But you know, that's what they always say. Soon as people are being fair, or people are being reasonable, or people are willing to say, you know what? That makes sense. I'm glad you cleared that up for me. As soon as that happens, all of a sudden, for the people who have chosen an absolute side in the situation, now you got to be everything but a child of God. Now you got to be unintegral. You got to be brought. You got to be paid. You got to be all of these things. And it can't be that, no, I'm just actually making it about the conversation and making it about the information given to me while you're trying to make it about the person that you hate. And now I understand why hate is so blinding. Because, baby, when you really tied up into your personal parasocial as emotions about these people on the screen that you don't know, that you don't have no personal relationship with, that you don't have no personal dealings with, girl, you really would get out here sounding delusional, putting your mouth on people's names without ever realizing that you don't know who the fuck you talking about or what the fuck you talking about. And we'll be down there in the comment section. We'll be up there on the StreamYard panel, girl, leading the crusade, girl, and as passionate as you can be without ever realizing that you don't know a damn thing and that you are caught up into your own imagination, which we all do to some degree, which is fine. But this is what separates the people who delusionally do that from the people who do that and can course correct. The people who are delusional, it doesn't matter what the other side says. It doesn't matter what the information is that's provided, because of their bias, it's always going to be what it is, period. And nothing's going to, it can come down and right in from the Lord. However, what healthy people do is healthy people can initially build a perception like, you know what, the way shit looking right now, baby, this is what this looks like to me. But then if a healthy person gets access to the person that they are building a perception about, and they're able to get into a conversation and talk, and they're being really honest and making themselves truly available mentally to the conversation, and allowing themselves to be like, okay, I hear that. I can understand that. All right, okay, cool. Even if I don't agree, I'm like, I get it. I totally get it. Those people are able to have their initial perceptions altered and improved upon because they allow information to inform them, not their bias. Not being so succumb to their personal feelings about the person on the screen or the person who's the topic of conversation who they don't motherfucking know from a can of paint on the wall. But the people who are after information are the people who can fairly and appropriately change their minds. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having an initial conversation. Just like, for instance, we've been reporting on Tyler Perry and his lawsuit. All we've heard right now from is Derek Dixon. Let's say, for instance, Tyler Perry hits my motherfucking line. If Tyler Perry hits my goddamn StreamYard and we talk about his goddamn lawsuit and talk about the claims against him, I'm going to be equally interested in what Tyler Perry has to say in defense of himself as I was about hearing what Derek Dixon had to say about Tyler Perry. And then I'm going to take what both of them said and allow that to create what my personal thoughts are. And because I'm narrating other people, I'm going to try to do the best of my job to be as intelligent in my assessments, to be as understanding in my assessments, to be as righteous in my assessments of the situation, because we are talking about other people here. But there are people who think that there's something wrong with that, when there's something actually wrong with you. People are going to change their minds, and people should change their minds, especially when they get to have access to the horse and hear what comes out of the horse's mouth. Now, if after you have endured the horse's mouth and don't make no sense to you, you are still within your right for to have make no sense to you, and you can still stand on that. But don't be disingenuous and really listen to people make reasonable arguments, have reasonable self-defense, and damn sure don't be somebody who can see facts and receipts and all the things other things, and then still be stupid. The cognitive dissonance is real. Let's go back to the cognitive dissonance part. Because perception is reality. Remember in the interview with St. James, I said, it's funny that some of the anti-Larry Reid crew, they're good for quoting him when the sound bite that they're screen recording or that they are replaying fits their narrative. But to Larry Reid's point, if you listen a little bit longer in that same live stream, you see that I qualify. You see that I clarify my sentiments. If you actually follow me consistently, you will see that if I don't qualify in the same live, I eventually qualify in the live the next day or the live before the week is out, etc. But that I've qualified. Now, those same people, right, who are adamant about holding Larry to what they believe they've caught him in the lie. Oh, he contradicts himself. And then they hold these sound bites in place are the same people who will tell you, well, I no longer even watch Larry. I stopped watching Larry when he did this. I ain't watched Larry in a month. I ain't watched Larry in a year. I stopped watching Larry years ago. I pulled out a Patreon with this, and I put out I don't know with that, and that. So then it's like, so to Larry's very point, then you are hijacking his narrative by holding him to something you've carved out from something he said, and then you're using that to double down on, while also completely knowing that you don't even follow him and therefore can't even substantively contest the fact that, well, you know what, the man might have goddamn clarified. That could be true because I don't watch his ass anymore. He very well could have clarified in the live stream he did later that night or the very next day, because I admit, I don't watch every damn show he do. I don't watch every damn live stream he do. But some people, because they're so caught up in themselves, it's not really about Larry. It's not really about CTV. It's not really about St. James. When you get to become a public figure who speaks out loud and you see the way that the public moves, what you will come to understand sooner than later is that people be caught up in their own delusions about you. It don't actually be about anything you've actually done. It don't actually be about nothing you've actually said. It don't even be about the actual truth. It's literally at that point, people tied up into a thought form of you they've created in their minds to go to battle with. And then they find you and try to project that onto you and make their fight with what's in your imagination about them, about the other person. This is largely why I don't care anymore about being liked on social media. I don't give a about the narratives. I don't give a about what people feel and see, because I already know the difference between those who genuinely want to understand and they operate in a way that leads to understanding, aka ask me directly and ask me for real. The people that seek me out in my email, the people that seek me out in my DMs, the people that will be in the chat or in the comment section and address me like an actual adult with a genuine interest in really knowing and hearing the response. I know the difference between that and a bald head bitch sitting up against a blanketed black wall talking shit. Caught up, tied up in their damn selves. I know the difference between somebody who genuinely just wants to understand, making themselves available to understand, from the people who are just yabba dabba damn doing and hearing a little bit of this and hearing a little bit of that and then just smashing everything together to create their personal character arc of you. And because more people do that in this media space, in this entertainment space, because more viewers do that than the people who are seriously trying to understand, I stay out of it. I I don't take it seriously. I think this should be funny as hell. I think this should be a bit cackle. Watching people literally fight with themselves about who they think you are is really hilarious. And I like seeing people delusionally spin around in themselves. I like it. Recently, I was watching another felt content creator, who struggles with her views. She has a lot of synthetic fibers in her head. She's always thirsty, so she's always quenching herself, okay? She lives in a shoebox, and she has a gap in her mouth that she's not concerned about. And I was laughing through her ratchet ass, out of touch, misinformed ass commentary, and it was so funny to see how so for real she was about me and how so for real she was about Larry. I was literally hollering, girl. Like I was screaming because she was so for real about her wrong information. She was so for real, girl, about all the things she think she done saw, all the little tidbits of this and that she done super glued together to create this divine girl. I was screaming. It is funny to me to watch people delusionally spinning around in their head, doing donuts in their emotions, doing donuts in their hearts, girl, who could not be the furthest away from what actually is, because this is not about what actually is. This is just about what's in people's minds and what's in people's imagination. And social media likes indulging in their imagination. I like indulging in my imagination. Look, and I know that about myself. I would rather talk about people than to talk to people, okay? Because it's just more interesting in my mind. But what I also do, especially when things are serious, and if we have to have serious discussions and there are facts, I absolutely acquiesce to the facts. I'm still reasonable. I still leave room for doubt. I'm very critical in my understanding, and I certainly will always make anyone who I'm talking about, not anyone as in anyone, but in terms of an actual celebrity, I don't give a fuck about these punk assholes that I would never allow myself to engage with on social media. But any celebrity who I'm talking about, who I'm commentating on, I will allow any of them folk to talk to me, including Nicki Minaj. All the celebrities who y'all think I don't like, who I can't stand, who I so-called HATE, I will talk to any of those folk, baby, because it's not that serious. And if them folk present to me that makes sense, and they present to me facts, I'm going with the facts. My personal and initial perception of them would not keep me from being able to recognize true tea. Now, I want to say some things that I have never addressed here, because I was watching St. James' platform and I was listening to him reading off. I didn't see his comments, but I was listening to him respond to the comments. And when Levantre's name came up, because you guys know I went ham when Levante caught himself wanting to talk to me. And I didn't want to talk to Levante because I felt like, for one, when it mattered for you to talk to me, you didn't want to talk to me. When it was important and the time made it relevant for you to speak to me, you didn't want to do that. You intentionally wanted to sit down with everyone who you already knew biasly hated Larry, such as Trasha K, Cryptoid Moore, and the Bling Bling Bishop, who you should be putting money on the books of right now. At the time that I was reporting on the story, and I was reporting on the facts around the police report, I was reporting on the facts around his inconsistencies in his stories, him changing his name, him changing details, all this shit. I kept saying, Levante is more than welcome to hit the chat. I kept saying, Levante is more than welcome to talk to me, more than welcome. Levante didn't have a breath for me because he was in the business of wanting to spin a particular narrative and did not want to talk to anyone who had a critical mind, who had critical thinking, and who was actually intelligent and not blinded by their personal parasocial disdain for Dr. Reid. He intentionally wanted to take advantage of the people that had already told and already made a choice in the matter because he knew he could talk to those people and change up details and be inconsistent without risking anyone clocking him. Because the people who already want to believe this about Dr. Reid and believe that about Dr. Reid don't care about the inconsistencies. They only care about the parts of Levante's story that feed their own personal narratives and confirm their narratives. He did not want to speak to anyone who was either neutral or speak to anyone who did not personally dislike Larry. He wanted to sit down with Larry Reid haters so that he could avoid accountability. So now a year after you've been sued and a judge has said you slandered Dr. Reid and rendered a verbal and a monetary judgment against you. Now you want to talk to me? Absolutely not, baby. No, baby. I want you to run from me the way that you ran from that process server. I want you to run from me the way that you ran from Dr. Reid in that lawsuit. I want you to run from me the way that you ran from that judge. I want you to run that hard and that fast because you didn't care to mitigate your case to me when my platform was available, when you were more than welcome to sit here and to share your story and to answer questions, because I'm not here for anyone to paint a particular a picture. I'm going to hear your picture, and then I'm going to point out the things in your picture that made me scratch my motherfucking ass and listen for you to make sense of it. But because you had the luxury of watching all of the tea that I had and all of the data and all of the things that I had in supporting, for one, also Dr. Reid's side, but also showing you all of the shams and holes in your own fucking story, you found my space to be dangerous because you had not decided how the fuck you can stand up against that. You sat there and watched all of the tea and receipts that I had and decided that there was no way for you to make it make sense. Therefore, you didn't try to make it make sense. So you stick to the rivers and the streams that you were used to, which were the people who just wanted you to sit down on a platform and say the most heinous things you could about Reid. So don't get over here now wanting to speak to me, and damn sure don't play the victim because I rejected the fuck out of you and forfeited having to sit down with your lying, stupid, inconsistent, scary punk pussy ass. Ho. Because if you are a real man and you could stand in your shit and the truth is what you came to speak and testify to, bitch, you could have held your own against all that I had, against all the receipts that I came bearing. Your truth and your defense would have eclipsed all of that because that's what the truth does. The truth ain't never scared, bitch. Never. That's how I be knowing what type of time some of y'all be on. Because soon as those receipts, baby, ain't congruent with the truth you've been narrating and testifying to, now you can't hit the link. Now you don't want to talk. Now you protecting your energy. Now you doing this, that, and the third. No, run me that. The way that you ran the Bling Bling Bishop and Cryptoid Moore and Trasha K that. No, you didn't want to do that. You didn't want to see a judge. You didn't want to see an attorney. You didn't want to see the federal courts. You didn't want to see Larry in court. And you didn't want to see my ass out here on YouTube. Okay, that's your choice. I respect it. I respect it. But you know, like I know that the case is closed because the case has been adjourned. And you've been adjourned as a liar. A liar. All right? Now, we're going to come back to Trey. But let's talk about what St. James was responding to on his platform when he was, because he read somebody's comment and somebody was like, my only problem with CTV is CTV should have stayed out of it, talking about the Trey story, right? But my thing is, yet all these people said that they followed Larry when he was running down on other pastors and bishops and prophets, and that they love Larry's work. So why the fuck didn't you stay your black ass up out of any of that while you trying to tell me what the fuck I need to stay up out of, when you literally only follow gossip platforms, when you literally follow the St. James platforms who specializes in commentating about other people's motherfucking business? Can't no bitch who in somebody else's business tell me about who business I can't be up in. Especially a bitch who made their business public, not one time, not two times, but 3 trash times. Tell me what business I need to be in and don't need to be out of. Because as long as it's a bitch y'all don't like, baby, y'all don't mind being up in somebody else's goddamn business. But when I'm in the business of your faith, then it's a problem. When I'm in the business of the one you pedestalize, baby, when I'm in the business of the one that you believing upon, then it's a problem. So I just found it really audacious for people who in everybody's business to be telling me, a bitch who get paid to be in that business in your business. If anybody is to be in anybody's business, it's me, baby. This is what I do. This is what I get paid to do. This is where I got my clout from. This is what I've been anointed to do, whether you like it or not. And all you can do is breathe in and breathe out about it. How the somebody who in somebody else's business gonna tell me I should have stayed out of it, as if they not over there in St. James chat every single day, minding Kim Burrell business, minding Larry Reid business, minding Archbishop business, minding Manasseh business, hitting links up there for hours and 45 minutes and 60 minutes of a damn day, minding business, specializing in business, cozy, and other people business. It's just a hypocrisy for me. Call it for what it is. Be woman and man enough to actually straighten that out and call it for what it really is, bitch. You didn't like that I made Levante look like what he made himself look like, a liar. Because I'm not the author for... nor did I make up that Levante changed his age. Everything that made me look at Levante as a whole liar who was putting 20 on 0 was him. I used his story that I listened to in totality in every single interview. I watched his mama's interview. I watched his cousin's interview. See, I wasn't out here half informed. I wasn't out here picking and choosing to, listen to a little bit of this and a little bit of that. No, baby, because if I was going to get in it, I was going to be in it and be fully informed. And the only way to be fully informed was to maintain continuity of what he was saying and listening to him every single time that he had something to say. You, as the caper for Levante, you got to make it make sense. Why that boy was 14, why he was 15, why he was 16, why he was 27, girl. You got to make that make sense. You got to make it make sense why Levante filed a half-baked police report on Larry Reid 6 days after Larry decided not to bail him out of personal debt he had with another musician whose drums and saxophones and equipment he ran off with, that resulted in that musician filing a police report and charges against Levante that resulted in his ass being locked up for theft. And we showed the receipts. And 2-3 days after that, Levante filed a half-baked police report about something he claimed happened almost 20 years prior against a man he was just working for 6 years ago, 5 years ago. A man whose ministry and business he wanted to be a part of. But now because Dr. Reid done severed ties and Dr. Reid don't want to get him out of his personal broke-ass problems, he decides he want to crank up noise against that man and make accusations, and then to make matters worse, filled out a half-baked police report and chronicled a bunch of events that took place at a time where the house had not even been built and did not even exist. All these receipts are on my platform. I didn't do that. I didn't make that shit up. Those are the receipts. Those are the facts. The fact that Levante told y'all 2 different origin stories about him and Dr. Reid. The man was literally making shit up, and because he was telling his lies so far in between each other, you know, he interviewed with Fupa Moore, you know, 1 year, then he would interview with the Bling Bling Bishop 2-3 years later, because he was so far and allowed so much space in between him telling his story, he could not remember the shit he had already said prior. So that's why the details and the facts were changing over and over and over and over and over again. They're just making shit up every time, baby. Let me tell you what made me throw myself off of a balcony and threw myself, baby, into the devil's lap. Girl, I landed right in the devil's lap. Is when that man's mama sat her ass in a chair that was struggling to hold her big ass up across from Tasha K. Hey, Judge Shady. Hey, homebody. Hey, y'all. And Tasha K said, oh, you know, you used to be girl, you used to be an athlete. Okay, you was athletic back in the day. Okay, now that must have been a past life, baby, because nothing about her current body gives that she had an athletic body in the same lifeline. But moving along. When Tasha K said, girl, oh, you were really outgoing and really athletic, you must have wanted to play for the WNBA while you were still going to school. And she said, yes, yes, bitch. The WNBA didn't even get created until what, 5 years after this hoe had graduated from high school. How you had dreams of being a part of a female basketball league that did not exist at any point when you was a little teen girl. Just everybody lying, bitch. Like, I could not. Girl, let me tell you something. That Levante era was really iconic, girl, because my mouth was on the floor during that era, girl. On the floor, girl. It's like the lies were just busting out every which I couldn't even keep up, girl. If I was not reporting on everything consistently, girl, I would have missed so much shit because you had to literally keep up. It was so many moving parts that if it was something you was in and out of, you wouldn't know that Trey lied. You wouldn't know that his mama lied. If you had not also ever paid attention to Larry's side or any of his receipts and any of the witnesses to the time that Levante lived with Larry, like if you had not also listened to none of that, you would have, I can see why somebody just would have taken Levante's story at face value, girl. But once you got everything, once you got all of the things, oh no, baby, it's no way in hell. It's no way in hell, baby. You were going to really be able to give a genuine, credible eye to the shit that was coming out of Levante's mouth if you actually were paying attention. And because I have a platform, and because I be leading stories and breaking stories, it was my job to maintain continuity. So I had to look. I had to watch everything. I had to listen to Levante. I had to listen to Larry. I had to listen to both sides. I had to put it all together because that's my responsibility as an integral content creator. You know, I do the work that y'all not gonna do because y'all just want to come here and get it. Okay, so that means I gotta be boots to the ground, you know, and I gotta keep up. It was a shit show, a shit show. So I'm clear. If there are people who want to believe, maybe believe Trey. I mean, a belief is a belief. Okay, believe them, like them, you know. Tell him he's a truth teller, girl. Commend him for being a victim and being a survivor, girl. To tell whatever you need to tell him, girl. That's on you, okay, girl. We all a part of the same jury, and based upon the evidence presented, girl, by the prosecution, based upon the sounding arguments made by the defense, okay, and prosecution, girl, I'm gonna disagree with some of what maybe the other jurors on the stand agree with. And I ain't got no problem with that, baby, because I can only see what I see. And I got to be honest about what I see. I got to run the lights up. Now, something else that was funny to me, right, is Milk Dud Head Terrell Hill. Milk Dud Head Terrell Hill apparently had some choice words for St. James in his members only community, etc. Girl, he was feeling the way. He felt like St. James should have stood up for Levante, etc., which St. James already cleared and said, look, bitch, I'm not y'all friends. I don't have to stand up for no goddamn body, okay? I heard what Levante had to say. I heard what Larry Reid had to say. And at the end of the day, girl, only they both know what the hell happened between them, girl. I'm not here to windmill in the Cape. I have not formed a belief about anything, girl. I'm just aware of the accusation. I'm aware of what Larry had to say in his defense and presenting his defense, and that's it, and that's all. Okay? So I can't check Conscious for his disposition, okay, and can't. St. James don't have no authority to cape for me. And if St. James would have caught himself trying to keep me off of Levante neck, I just would have put my remaining foot on St. James' neck. Baby, he wasn't going to get in the way of me doing what it is I do because I speak for myself. Okay? And this was my platform. And it was my interview that I invited him to. Okay? Levante could have decided to keep his presence to himself. Okay, he decided not to. So I decided to respond to his request to want to speak to me now when it's irrelevant and you done ran from the actual court of law because you thought that the court of public opinion was better for you. And now that a judge has already ruled that you defamed Larry Reid, there is nothing more that you have to say. And I'm not interested in a motherfucking thing that you had to say, girl, because what you're going to have to do sitting next to me is you're going to have to run your receipts or run your truth up against all them goddamn receipts. That's what you're going to have to do. And you ain't ready to do that. Okay? You ain't going to do that. And you also don't need to talk to me to do that. You have your own platform. So how about you go live on your shit and you run your truth up against all those receipts and you make sense against them. That's what you do. But I found it also interesting that Milk Dud Head Hill was chastising St. James because Milk Dud Head Terrell Hill done been begging to talk to me, girl, since he done tried to build a name for himself off of sucking Larry's dick. Which, can I be honest? I think it's pitiful. I think Milk Dud Head Hill is one of the most pitiful and pathetic, crooked teeth, disproportionate bald head ass individuals I've come across yet. Because I don't even know what lack of dignity you have to have as a man to make a legacy and a storyline out of yourself being somebody else's cum dump. The fact that Milk Dud Head Hill has sat his ass out on social media and tried to grift and make a click in a view and a coin off of another man putting shampoo and conditioner in his pussy hole as lubricant, girl, you are pathetic. The fact that you're not embarrassed and the fact that you are okay, girl, with the fact that over a 16-year period, you allowed a man to put hair grease in your pussy hole, that you allowed a man to put Crisco oil in your pussy as lubricant, girl. If you don't get away from me with this Apollo. If you don't get away with me with this Apollo. Hold on, let me collect myself, y'all. When that man said that he basically allowed Larry to use whatever was in arm's reach as a lubricant to go up into his dry ass desert hole with, girl, my heart broke for Milk Dud Head Hill, girl. The fact that that man is trying to make a name for himself out of being a glory hole whore for another pastor while he was a pastor himself, girl. I just can't tell you how cringeworthy all of that is. You know, I'm definitely a believer that some things are better left unsaid, my love. Some things, girl, just need to be between you and you, my God. Not to mention, what's going on, Lamari? It might just be me, okay? It could just be me. But let me tell you what I found to be really disgusting about Milk Dud Head Hill's attempt to be a superhero and to reclaim his dignity and his Christianity in the guise of an expose about the homosexuality and distrust of Dr. Reid and his camp. Is, girl, you did all that conveniently after you were terminated and fired from the same camp now that you can't stop talking about. I don't have respect for those type of truth tellers. You know, people who have a real sense of spirit and godliness, people who have a real genuine sense of integrity and character are people who are able to wake up and do the right thing even when they are benefiting from all the wrong things. Those are genuine, integral people, not these motherfuckers who get out here on Mad Day and then they want to say this, that, and the third. But when you were benefiting, when you were on payroll, when you were an employee, when you were just a cummed up slut for Dr. Reid, you had nothing to say and were all smiles. But let me tell you what's even more interesting about Milk Dud Head's attempt to stand in some type of a pseudo self-righteousness. Is the fact that it was how he dealt with Lisa in particularly. A woman that trusted him around her children, trusted him in her home. And even all the way up to his expose, according to him, he's carrying this truth and carrying this experience. And you're coming forth in the energy of I'm reformed, I am awake, I am a safe place, I am a homosexual of God. I am a prophet and a teacher and a healer. And yet you were so vacuumed and caught up in your disdain and your dizziness toward Larry that you didn't even realize you were ripping absolute dignity away from Lisa, who you personally labeled as a victim. And for you to call yourself a safe space when you tore up her life experience, took control of the narrative of her life experience, and then chose to exploit her in an attempt to go viral, exploit her in an attempt to take a dig at Larry. And never once did you think it was proper or godly to actually pull Lisa aside and afford her some self-dignity and say, sis, I need to say something to you for my sake and for the sake of your soul salvation. You ain't never did nothing to me. You ain't never maligned me. I'm not going to allow myself to run you over with a bulldozer and with spiked heels just because I don't like your ex-husband. But I do feel you need to know this. And I feel like it's important for me to confess it to you and afford you and your girls, the girls I claimed I love, the girls I claimed that I helped to raise, that I watched to grow up, that never in Milk Dud Head's relationship to God did that same God that he thinks loves homosexuals and loves tarot card readers and love men without no hair and can love a man who used to sleep with another man, according to him, behind another woman's back. Did that God ever love Lisa enough to tell him to afford her this truth in a dignified way? Oh no, because like all narcissistic spirits, it was all about the Milk Dud Head heel Terrell and his ego and his instability and his density and his rage and his own personal self-righteousness. I could not believe the way he handled Lisa, particularly in all that he did as it relates to Larry. The Lisa arc was an opportunity for Milk Dud Head to really show himself approved. She was the part of this whole thing, and the way he was going to handle that was going to separate V. Terrell Hill from his ego and his divinity. And he went straight carnality with it. Let me tell you something else that was disgusting and that exposed Milk Dud Head's hand. It was when, because this whole time, Milk Dud Head has claimed to, I love those kids, 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 those kids, those kids, those kids. I'm worried about those kids, those kids. I raised them, I practically birthed them. But yet you got your fucked out, slutty, ugly, bad body ass out here, and you had the audacity to sit on St. James platform a year ago, back in 2024, and tell people where you believed Joshua was living. And the fact that you would get your ungodly, wretched, tootie ass out here and know that that young man was struggling in his mental health and going through some things, and you would decide to make content and expose where you believed he was living, Bitch, if I would have saw you, I would have whipped your motherfucking asshole, and I would have broke every motherfucking bone in your frail, frantic, parasitic ass body. Because you knew exactly what you were doing when you decided to make content out of where you believed he was living, and you knew you were saying that in front of a body of people who have been sued for harassment, who have been sued for stalking, who have been sued for this, that, and the third. But it meant so much more to you to be a tea spiller that you didn't even give a damn about the personal safety and the personal well-being of that 19-year-old kid. I just want to know, where is the godliness and the safe space in this of it all? Because I ain't seen nothing motherfucking safe about Milk Dud's head space yet. And I ain't seen nobody who has had the luxury of actually being protected and safe in his space. Because everything that he feels he knows and everything that he's been afforded to be connected to, he has exploited for a click and a view, including all those fucking children that he claims he loves. And yet you attempted to put what you believe to be an address on where he was. Girl, my heart breaks for these whores and these heathens. It breaks for them. The hypocrisy and just how socially dangerous these people are, that they even put people who have nothing to do with nothing in front of their fuck shit and their foolishness, while having the nerve to talk about and narrate another man as not being a safe space for young people. But bitch, you're exploiting, click and viewing, and monetizing with no recourse, no social awareness, no compassion or love in mind, simply because it gives you a Google AdSense at the end of the day, because it brings some type of social equity and credibility to you. You wanted to be the person who was seen as the person who knew and is in connection with Joshua. Somebody who never made himself available to social media. Somebody who didn't sit down with not near motherfucker in an interview and say a motherfucking thing. And the fact that this should not have just been content for Milk Dud Head, because these were young people that he actually knew, and young people who actually thought that they were safe with him and could trust him, and he would throw them into the mix of this shit and attempt to put a location on one of them while knowing they are very sick, obsessive weirdos. Baby, get away from me with this, Apollo. These people are sick. They are sick. They are sick. And they are sick in their fucking minds. In a way that you would take advantage, if you would take advantage of a 19-year-old boy's trust, if you would take advantage, because I don't know whether Vincent made that shit up or what the case was, but regardless, the fact that you exploited it, the fact that you thought it to be true, and even if you knew you were lying about it and making it up, you still decided to make it content as if there was any redeeming quality in anybody knowing where you thought Josh was. If that's how you would behave, how you would care for, how you would deal with a 19-year-old scared and traumatized young man, that tells me just how predatorial milk dud head ass is. And see, what's funny is that those are the facts. You factually set your ass on St. James' platform and outed that information. I personally contacted St. James that night when somebody came to me and said, did you hear what Milk Dud Head said? He said that Josh is with you. I said, no, he didn't. Now look, I already had low expectations of Milk Dud Head Hill. But that actually shocked me. Even in all that I know about Milk Dud Head, even with all that I'm aware of about Milk Dud Head, even in all of my personal assessment of Milk Dud Head, I still thought he had some lick, some fucking lick or degree of a moral compass. But when he traded Joshua ass out, an innocent bystander, and all of his personal feelings toward Larry, and decided as a going on 50-something-year-old ass man that attempting to tell a bunch of fucking weirdos on the internet about where he believed and who he believed Josh was with, and he decided to put that tea out there. Oh my God, bitch. I was literally genuinely shocked. And that's why I would never speak to Milk Dud Head Hill, bitch. You are a hypocrite. You are a sociopath. You are predatorial. You are a dangerous, weird, Gemini ass hypocrite. You are a hypocrite. A hypocrite. And I have this interesting feeling that a lot of what y'all actually want people to believe about Larry and why y'all are so passionate about pushing the narratives y'all do about Larry is because these things are true about y'all. These things are true about y'all. Now, Larry ain't perfect. And we already done said that 101 times, and we done tugged on Larry's wig as it relates to Lester, as it relates to Milk Dud Head Hill. But see, the difference between me and these niggas is I can tug on Larry's wig. I can call Larry wrong. I can call out Larry's wrong. I can call out his shortcomings. I can say he was out of order for even dealing with Terrell Hill. I can do all of that, but they can't do that on that side. They only can major in the criticism one way and have no smoke for the facts that go the other way. See, that be the difference. The difference is I can tear Larry ass up and call it down the middle. I have no problem doing that. And Larry respects it. And it ain't always easy either. Because me and Larry, we go through it. Sometimes. But at the end of the day, he motherfucking respects it. But I never see that from the other side. Even when the hypocrisy is blatantly outside. Even when the lies are blatantly outside. Even when there's blatant wrongdoing being done. You never, ever hear the panels that they put together about each other. You never hear their criticism and calling and say, you know what? Okay, yeah, we get all that about Larry, but bitch, you boom pow, boom pow, boom pow, boom pow, boom pow. Nobody on St. James platform checked Milk Dud head for attempting to exploit Joshua. Nobody did. Nobody found nothing wrong with it. There was no backlash. Nobody rose the roof. Oh no. Instead, it became content. The saddest blogger went and whispered that shit on King John's platform. Oh, you know what I heard from another non-hearing asshole who heard from another non-hearing asshole who heard from a non-hearing asshole that Joshua is. Nobody said shit. Nobody cared about if Joshua's life was in danger in that moment. Nobody cared about if some of these psychotic, parasocial, obsessed maniacs who have already been sued for stalking and harassment, who've already been fired for stalking and harassment. Nobody cared about whether they were actually endangering a person in this situation who had nothing to do with none of this shit. And grown-ass people who call themselves standing on motherfucking business, who call themselves standing on motherfucking integrity, who call themselves standing on motherfucking God, who call themselves standing on motherfucking Christ, who call themselves standing on any of this shit, had nothing to say. Nobody even rose the roof about the way that he exploited Locklear, the way he exploited Lisa, the way he exploited anybody, Kendall, nobody. People who ain't had to do with shit. Nobody cared about whether this was slander, because out of all the things he presented about Kendall, never presented a single fucking fact. Never. Nobody cared. All that mattered was the narratives, right? All that mattered was the whatever. While some people are sitting here obsessing over if Larry is committing slander against Jakes, but nobody cared about whether Milk Dud Head Hill was slandering anybody else in the situation. Because he ain't had no facts outside of the specific shit he said about Larry that he was able to back up, luckily for him, with audio recording. But everybody else, baby, got slandered down to the ground. Did any content creator in the church sector specialize in mastering that? But them same motherfuckers are obsessing over whether Larry has slandered Jakes. Make it make sense. This is the type of hypocritical shit. That's why I be so proud, Conscious Crew, of what we do over here. I love that we let the pendulum swing on left to right. We can entertain both sides. We can break down the situation from this person's perspective, and then we gonna go to the oppositional part and break down that shit from this perspective and from their perspective. But the opposite side never motherfucking do it. And that's why I don't respect it. And that's why I will never sit with them hoes. I never talk to them hoes. I never make myself available to them motherfucking hoes, because I already see them for what they are. Now let's get back to St. James. I think that St. James does a great job, like I said, at being, for the most part, a very neutral and approachable space. And he proved that when him and Larry were able to come to an amicable agreement that he's willing to be fair. He's willing to take advantage of being accessible. And Larry is willing to do the same thing. If he has any concerns, or he hears a narrative, or whatever, he can also reach out to St. James and clear something up the way that St. James can reach out and get Larry's side as well, or get any clarity from Larry. The fact that their side is punishing St. James goes to show that these people are deeply irrational, lack total emotional unintelligence, and that they're out of order and inappropriate Because St. James don't owe Levante shit, damn sure don't owe Milk Dud Head shit, and damn sure don't owe a cryptoid more a goddamn thing. Because not only is he not friends with Larry, bitch, he ain't friends with you either. And these hoes thought because they done got cozy on a nigga platform, they done got cozy in a nigga space, they done got cozy in a cube on a motherfucking channel. They done forgot, girl, that you are a visitor. You're not a roommate. You're a visitor, ho. Your name ain't on the lease. You leave at the end of the day. Them hoes are really sat over there in St. James Space, girl, and thought they had a friend. They done got over there in St. James Space, girl, and thought they had a bestie. St. James had to clear all that up, girl. Like, hold on. Ain't none of y'all hoes my friend, girl. I don't know you hoes. Yeah, girl, I'm going to sit down with CTV. I'm going to sit down with Larry, girl, and y'all going to have to breathe in and breathe out. I'm not invested like y'all invested, girl. Y'all the ones who tethered into all these parasocial ass relationships with these people you don't motherfucking know. And then think you know me enough to tell me, girl, what I need to be doing and not be motherfucking doing. I'm not portraying you when I'm sitting down with CTV or Larry Ho because I'm not you hoes friends. I'm not doing anything wrong because I'm not y'all's friends. And I hope that they heard St. James loud and clear, girl, because St. James cleared it. He cleared it, girl. He cleared it. St. James said, put some respect on my motherfucking name. And according to the commentary that I got from St. James on his live stream, it sounds like there are other content creators who talking shit and mad at him right now who are just like, girl, I would have did this, I would have did this, I would have did that, I would have did this. And like St. James said, it's so interesting to me that girls are talking about what they could have, should have did, but they ain't had nobody of notoriety on their platform all year long. How you gonna tell me how to do something you have yet to do? How you gonna tell me how to do something, girl, you haven't actually done since you the best and you've been doing it for so long and you've been doing this for so long, girl, and yet I'm the only one who are getting the clicks and the views and the interviews, girl. I'm the only one who's been able to successfully sit down with both sides and all sides while you bitches sitting in private communities. While you hoes, girl, are sitting in the super chat line. Girl, when I tell you St. James cleared it, girl. St. James cleared them hoes. Bitch, and let me tell you something, girl. I have respect for real men. Bitch, I love me a man who is not afraid to stand on business, bitch. A man who ain't afraid to establish, girl, where his loyalties are and are not, girl. A mother nigga who don't give a baby. St. James proved to me today that he ain't no pick-me-shit nigga and that he don't prefer adoration over principle. The fact that he chose principle over adoration, because see, it would have been easier for St. James to just acquiesce and bow down because he got a bunch of niggas on his ass right now. Okay? See, it's easier to just give in to that and to just maintain, you know, the likability on yourself by just aligning with that. Oh, no, baby. St. James was willing to have that fight, bitch. He was willing to be indifferent today, baby. He was willing to choose, girl, street code and principle over all things else, girl. And that is a real man and a real woman, girl. That's a real, I respect St. James even more now because he meant what he said. He meant what the fuck he said. And today he said what he said and said he's still staying on it. So hosts can be mad. Hosts can be upset, girl. He said he about to clean up that live chat over there. He said what y'all not going to be doing, bitch, is sitting in his interviews and trolling nobody and talking and taking him out of here. Oh, baby. St. James is regulating, girl. He is getting his house in motherfucking order. Shout out to you, St. James. Because that side don't even know that, bitch, y'all proved me right. For me and Larry to be the this, that, and the king is in and the king is in the motherfucking house. And meant every mother. Oh God. Oh God. Baby. I said what I said. St. James, I can tell that you done been in some pussy. I can tell you done put your dick in some pussy, baby, okay? Because, baby, today, baby, today, oh, you stood. Oh, today you gathered. Oh, today you cleared. You cleared it, baby. You cleared it today. You cleared it. Standing on straight up business with no to give. See, that's the type of shit I can fuck with. See, you're going to fuck around and make me really like you, okay? You're going to really F around, girl, and make me like you, baby, okay? Because that's what it is, honey, okay? Okay? I respect it. And I think if more content creators were like that, I think things could be really interesting on these streets. And I think you're doing a great job. While there is nobody out here on these streets we are going to agree with 100% of the way, we all throw shade. We all, talk our little shit. And sometimes our perspectives and opinions of things aren't always going to be what we think it should be out of each other. But at the end of the day, if you're consistent and you try to be balanced and you try to be fair, regardless of whatever, and you consistently create that space of I'm open, I'm available. You know who I actually learned that from? I learned that from Dr. Reid. No matter who Dr. Reid ran down on in all the years that he been doing what he been doing now on the Larry Reid Live platform that he now has retired from, thank God, because I'm tired of seeing some shit. Okay? Dr. Reid always, though, no matter who he was running down on, whether it was E. Dewey, rather it was anybody at the Plantation Network, rather it was whatever, always stressed and said, I am accessible. Anybody can speak to me, including the opposition. If I'm so-called exposing you today, or I'm giving my commentary on your stuff, I'm available. The same platform that's talking about your stuff is the same platform that you can talk about your stuff on. That was a part of what I've taken away from following Dr. Reid's platform all these years. And I have tried to maintain that same stance as well, that no matter what my personal feelings are, my personal thoughts are about any public figure, that no matter what, I still am willing to talk to the other side and genuinely hear them out. And if what they bring to the table genuinely changes my mentality, or it evolves my thinking or my initial narrative, great. There were people who commented under me, St. James, and Dr. Reid's interview who said, CTV, I'm so glad I came over here and listened to your interview. I completely misjudged you. I am so glad I watched this interview. All the people talking about you can't be fair, that you biased, and I saw in this interview how you were standing on business. You was holding Larry accountable. You held St. James accountable while also working as a mediator, bitch. You were doing the motherfucking thing. You showed in real time what it is and what you is. And when you don't listen to other people and you come and listen and really look for your motherfucking self, you might see something different. You might see something different. So I just wanted to come through and say all of that. Yes, open to hearing all sides, because that's what it's about. Baby, you can't make none of this that deep to where you so caught up in somebody else's business that you forget that you are outsider looking in. You can't stand on the outside and then be so passionate that you find yourself completely incapable of really sitting down with the person you talking about and talk to them. Instead of getting caught up in all of your feelings and your sound bites and your whatever, but you don't watch, but you don't listen, you don't follow, but you know everything. Shut up. Just shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. Just shut up. The hell up. All the way up. Yes. Vic said CTV is so gifted at mediation while standing on his principles. Absolutely. I am. You know, so I just wanted to say, girl, that this was the manifested reality that I prophesied it to St. James. I'm glad that now his audience got to see it because they was like, oh, protecting. What are you protecting him from? Protecting. Well, now you see. His ass been getting chewed up since his interview, child, by people that called themselves supporting him and people who've been clicking his link to talk shit and people who've been spending narratives, all these support, girl. Yeah, baby. You see what true support looks like, baby. Okay? When you make a decision contrary, girl. And here's the thing. All of those so-called content creators who critiquing St. James, hey, show us that you can do it better. Show us that you can do what he can't. Because I love when St. James said, you know what, when CT and all that CTV said to me about why he doesn't click my link, he ain't going to bring no baggage into my chat. And then for two, they're just people over there that he don't fuck with. So he deals with me on his own terms instead of dealing with me in my space where some of those people are. But what CTV never told me is who I can't fuck with. But yet those people on the other side, the emotionally intelligent crew, the intellectuals, girl, the Christians, the people who always telling other people what not, you know, that can't nobody run their shit and run their platform. They're the ones, girl, mad at him because of what he had the full anatomical right to do. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go. This is not about who St. James sat with. The truth is, those content creators that are upset with St. James and talking shit are jealous of St. James because St. James got access to people and to things they still want access to, but will not get access to. Milk Dud Head Hill been asking to sit down with me since he did his expose last year. I've said no. Cryptoid Moore is still seeking my attention and seeking engagement with me. I have continued to stand in the energy of no. As much shit as Milk Dud Head has talked about Larry, he still misses Larry. Still can't forget that shampoo and conditioner that was lodged in his ass. Still, it's the best thing that ever happened to him. He's just converted love into disdain, but it's still attraction and desire nonetheless, baby. And don't you let that obsessed fool sit over there, girl, in his mammy's house, telling you, girl, that he done did the work and now created a safe space, a space that he's still jacking off to Larry in. Okay? They're mad because St. James has found himself perfectly in the middle. He's been able to move in a way that has allowed him to access both sides, something that all the people that's mad at him won't. They won't access. They don't have that. They're watching St. James manifest that. And now they're projecting all of their own rejection and jealousy and envy onto St. James by trying to convince him that he's the one who's doing something wrong. They done forgotten who they are, and they damn sure done forgot who the fuck St. James is, but he reminded their ass today. He reminded their black ass today. Oh, yes. They wanted to see St. James tear up Larry instead of complimenting him on his ability to communicate effectively with Larry and actually have a meeting. Because what was St. James supposed to do? Sit in a conversation with Larry and say, no, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying? The same thing that would not have made sense for St. James to do to Bishop Jordan. He don't know if what Bishop Jordan is saying is true or not. He has to take it at face value. Hold on, y'all. Damn, I have not. Oh, hold on, yo. What? My phone is slow. Ooh. Oh, we look so good, child. Hold on, y'all. I didn't even know I had text messages going on. Yeah, so all that is jealousy, girl. All that is jealousy. These people are just mad because they're watching St. James glow up. They're watching him be a professional. They're watching him conduct himself like a professional. And he did the exact same thing in his interview with Larry that I would have did in my interview if the Jordans ever sit down with me, because people are saying CTV, they need to sit down with you. I don't have a problem with that. Long as they know that I'm going to respectfully ask them the interesting questions, the unique questions, and that I'm going to respectfully challenge things that I may think are inconsistent or answers that I feel fall flat, but that I'm going to be respectful in all of that. I have no problem with them sitting down and talking. I would love to talk to them. There are certain questions that I would definitely ask them. There are certain things that, you know, because we all have our own mind and we all have our own angle of things. So there are things that I would think to ask because it's just me and how my brain work. You know, this is what makes every interviewer and every host unique. And I wouldn't be disrespectful to the Jordans, just like I wouldn't be to anybody else who would talk to me. I remember Claudia Jordan, we done tore her ass up in the past when she would seemingly come off transphobic and homophobic, etc. And then when I was able to actually talk to Claudia Jordan, we were able to interview, we were able to speak about her thoughts and her mindset and her psychology. I was able to be better informed about what's in her spirit. Because sometimes what's in people's head and people's hearts don't translate well when it comes out of their mouth. And being able to see it that way depends on if you're willing to give a person a chance or not, or whether you want to lock them in to the semantics of it all, and you want to lock them in to the exactness of it all. And, you know, so talking to people, it definitely humanizes people. I can understand why after St. James spoke to Larry and spoke to Bishop, you know, that it humanized them both. So any perceivably negative commentary from him about either one of them was able to be better informed and refined because he actually got to ask direct questions that helped him to think about whatever it is he's thinking about concerning them. And that's how the fuck it should be for anybody. That's how we all should be. I'm not going to sit in front of people and waste my energy listening if I'm not really going to listen and I'm not going to really give them a chance. That makes no sense to do. You might as well just not invite somebody into your space. You might as well not have an interview with somebody. You might as well not make yourself available or even ask, you know, that person to make themselves available. if you are just that sure and your mind is just that made up. But I just want the other side to know, bitch, that y'all proved me right. Y'all proved everything that I said to St. James about y'all to be completely true. And I'm glad that St. James viewers got to see it all manifest. Baby, CTV might tell you a joke, but CTV will never tell you a motherfucking lie. Okay? CTV might tell you a joke, but CTV will never tell you a lie. And guess what? I ain't had to beat St. James over the head. I ain't had to go pull the receipts, baby. The universe just is naturally putting everything on the billboard, girl. The universe is just working in my favor. I'm having a beautiful retrograde. Because everything is in plain sight. The writing is literally on the wall. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So shout out to the St. James Show, girl. And shout out to Dr. Reid. We done pissed a lot of people off doing the work. We done pissed a lot of people. Even me and Larry coming back together done pissed people off. Why CTV? Stay out my business, baby, and you ain't never got to worry about being upset. That's what you get. See, when you get up in my business, I'm going to always throw monkey wrenches to show you why you need to step out my business. As soon as you think you know what's going on, I'm a blue. What? Yeah, baby, now you got a headache, girl. Shouldn't make no sense. Yeah, I'm why it don't make no sense, because baby, I'm gonna get you about my business. That's what you get for being up in my business. Every time you put your face to my business, bitch, I'm gonna throw something in the monkey wrench to throw a monkey wrench in the engine to show you that you don't know what the hell is going on or what the hell you even talk about, and that's why you better major and obsessing over somebody else's business, because baby, you never gonna be able to hone in on mine ever. So you might as well just leave what you think you know alone into the curbside, baby. When it comes to me, baby. Because I know the hoes be lurking, the hoes be listening, the hoes be obsessing. Oh yeah. And as soon as I see that happening, yep, here goes the monkey wrench right into the engine, girl. To make a fool of your ass. To make a whole fool of your ass. Stay up out my business. Okay? Because I'm going to author all the confusion when you think you know something. Get out. So, I'm out of here. This was a great stream, you guys. And, I want to say this before I leave. I really enjoyed the interview, both with Dr. Reid and my interview with St. James. The Conscious crew, I can't speak for the St. James crew, but the Conscious crew were so happy. They were like, CTV, it was so fun to see you just rendezvousing with other content creators, girl, because you really don't be fooling up with nobody no more. Like you so damn closed off now. You got a little house in the woods, bitch. You done live on the outskirts of town, honey. It was like, it was so fun and exciting seeing the intellectual sparring, seeing, the commentary, and just seeing the back and forth. And people really loved, what me and St. James was able to do in the ins and outs of it all. And they actually want more of that. And my idea for the show was, I was like, with me and you being the leading commentators on this case, and then, with Larry's interview also kind of featuring you, I think this would be great for the viewers, us coming together and unpacking the case. And so it was fun because it really felt like me and St. James were like pundits. It didn't even really feel like we had a live audience. Like I was so present in just what we were talking about. It literally just felt like we were two personalities just on TV, and people were at home watching, listening to a good show. And I wish that more viewers would just let the content be just that. Instead of trying to personalize the people on the TV screen, literally just take it as content and take it as entertainment and just enjoy it at face value. Once you start making it deeper than that, that's when the shit get weird, the shit get dark for you, and you really end up spiting your face by severing your entire hand over, once again, getting vacuumed into these parasocial relationships that are not real. You don't know any of us. We are entertainers and commentators. You don't know us personally. What we do is in the name of entertainment and information and teaching and whatever. And when you just allow it to be that, things can really be fun on YouTube. For the first time in a long time, I really had fun in a collaboration. It was like, oh, this is so fun. You know, I have not felt that in a long time. And some of St. James supporters turning on him, honestly, is exactly why I have had to disconnect from both the love and the hate that I get. That's why I'm able to survive social media now, because I don't identify with the love. Therefore, I don't identify with the hate. I know the very people that are loving you today will be your ops tomorrow. The very motherfuckers who you are the fave of right now, you'll be the number one enemy tomorrow. Once you identify with the love, you have to also identify with the hate. But if you don't identify with either one, you only identify with your own intentions, you only identify with what's true for you, you are able to be passive both toward the superficial love that's shown to you on social media, and you're able to be passive toward the superficial hate and dislike that people have for you. I do not allow the things that go on social media and the things that go on around even my name to be something that penetrates me anymore. I have really trained myself and really appropriated social media for myself. So now I'm able to be fine with all of it. And that's why I was saying everything that I was saying in me and St. James interview, like, girl, I'm not here to be like, I literally am not. That's why I'm willing to not yield to popular opinion. I'm willing to not allow even my own audience to force my hand or to control my direction. The only people who have real influence over me are people that I actually love. Those are the only people who can literally come to me and say, look, I don't think this is best, and this is what I see, and this is what it is. The people whose love I know is real for me. And I'm not saying that people out here in social media don't love us, but y'all understand what I'm saying, that a lot of the love is superficial. And that's why all it takes is for you to talk about somebody's fave, and then they don't like you no more. Or as soon as they agree or disagree with something that you said, they don't like you no more. Soon as they don't unsubscribe for you, it's so fragile because it's shallow. The connections from entertainer to audience is very fragile. It's flippant and it changes with the wind. So for me, I just do what I do. And if people enjoy it, they enjoy it. If they like it, they like it. I just would hope that people are able to just know that it's content and you are able to disagree. And I hope that you can separate me from what you disagree with. But hell, if you end up not liking me too, then fuck you as well. I really don't give a damn. Because I'm going to do this regardless. I'm going to be a commentator. I'm going to be in this space. And I'm going to continue to grow and move forward and do what I do. Because I love what I do. And if other people love that too, great. If other people don't, so what? But what St. James is going through right now is literally what I warned him about and what I was concerned about. And the other side just really showed the entire hand. You don't see me and Larry Larry came and intentionally worked to get in a middle space with St. James. That's what this side does. That side over there, girl, they want to control, they want to force, they want to whatever. So another win, girl. Another win for this side of the tracks, and a win for St. James on standing on business. And that's why St. James is going to be all right. St. James is going to be blessed. And a lot of hoes going to have to watch him continue to glow up in their face, and there ain't going to be nothing that they can do about it, baby, but breathe in and breathe out. You can go live at the same time, bitch. You can act like you ain't looking. You can act like you ain't watching this one, and baby, tell yourself whatever you got to tell yourself, baby, to make yourself feel better about the inevitable evolution of all of us. Oh, yeah. I love that for the ops. I love that the ops have no choice, girl, but to watch with a front row view, and they can't do nothing but breathe in and out about it. So I'm out of here with the 2-hour mark, girl. This was amazing. We got to get to some celebrity tomorrow. I love you guys a long time. And yeah, give me your thoughts and everything below, girl. And keep your notification bell set to all. Let me see what Shauna had to say. What Shauna had to say. We love resolution over here. Oh, yes. You know what? Yeah. And resolution don't mean friendship. Resolution just means resolution. You know, and the thing about St. James, right, and Larry versus some other people is that St. James and Larry don't have nothing so egregious going on between them, or anything so messy that has taken place between them that it can't be resolved. You know, it's just a matter of getting to an understanding. And that's all it took, you know, is for them to get an understanding. And yes, both Larry and St. James will have to be intentional about maintaining that understanding. You know, while there's other YouTube uploaders, I'm not even going to dignify them folk with calling them content creators, YouTube uploaders, who, you know, it's not just a matter of the fact that y'all have a difference of opinion about things. Bitches are messy. Bitches are effed up. And hoes are real maniacal and bizarre and got real personality issues. They like got real shit. And I'm staying away from that shit personally. You know, if it's just a matter of opinion, yeah, we can be all right. But bitch, I'm personally not aligning with and making up and getting to resolution about, for one, a person I don't even need, which is the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway. I don't even need you, for one. That's really just the biggest thing. But bitch, you're crazy. You're like real life crazy, not on screen crazy, girl. You're off screen crazy. You know, so ain't no resolution to that. But in a St. James and Larry situation, there wasn't no portrayal. There wasn't nobody doxing nobody. There wasn't nobody hiring somebody to go at somebody else. There wasn't nobody, you know, doing nothing weird. You know, it was just a matter of perception and a lack of communication. So, well played. Well played. And of course, neither one of these men could be great without me. Okay? I'm always going to be in Infinity Stone. So, good night to you all. I love you all. And I will see you guys later. Bye.